The Great Spirit of the Sal Tree. Learning Outcome. Listen to the story attentively and answer the questions. Reflect on destruction of forests and write a few sentences on it. Once upon a time, a king of North Indian kingdom wanted to build a palace more remarkable than any other in the country. He could not make it richer, taller, stronger, or more beautiful without great expenses and trouble. So he decided to make it special in another way by setting the whole palace upon a single wooden column, a column carved from one of the biggest trees in his kingdom. He sent for his minister and said, "Send men to the forests far and near, and tell them to cut down and bring to the city without delay the mightiest tree in his garden." 30 foresters were dispatched, but they soon returned saying that though there were many trees equally stronger and gigantic in the king's forests, they could never carry or drag them over the difficult terrain that lay between the forest and the city. The king heard this, but later he sent for the foresters again. "By means of horses, one of these trees must be brought here," he said. "It's not possible," they said. "No horse could move such a tree even an inch." "By means of bullocks then," he said. "The bullocks could not possibly force their way through miles of such dense forest." "By means of elephants then." "It is hardly possible, for the ground is so marshy that the elephants would sink to their knees in it." "Very well," said the king angrily. "If you cannot bring me such a tree from the forests, then you must find it within one of my village parks. Bring it here within a week." The foresters left and went directly to a splendid sal tree, which grew not far from the palace. It was worshipped by the people of many villages around because within it dwelt a tree spirit who gave the tree its great strength, size, and beauty. The foresters decided with much reluctance that the king's column must be made from this lordly sal tree and from no other. They returned to it with garlands, lamps, and music to offer them to the spirit inside, and to warn him that he must leave his abode, for within 7 days it would be cut to the ground. The tree spirit heard and understood well enough what was about to happen. It remained quiet as a resting breeze blew for a few moments. Then all his leaves began to whisper, and his topmost branches bowed, and the foresters went away satisfied that he had answered their plea. But this was what the leaves were whispering to each other. The spirit within the trees thought, "This must not be allowed. I must visit the king and persuade him." That night, while the king was asleep, the shining figure appeared to him in his dream, and spoke in a voice that was like a rustle. I am the spirit of Sal Tree. O king, your foresters this day have told me of your decision to fell me. I have come to beg you to change your mind. No, I cannot, grumbled the king. Yours is the only tree in all my parks strong enough to support a palace building, and therefore I must have it. Consider, O king, for 1,000 years I have been worshipped by the people of many villages, and never has anything but good come out to them. The birds nest in me. I send a vast and lovely shade upon the grass beneath me. Against my trunk people rest, and wild creatures too. Glad of the coolness, the earth bless me. All true enough, good tree spirit, spoke the king. But for all this I cannot spare you. I have made up my mind. Then grant me one last request, said the tree spirit. Let me be felled in 3 parts. First, my head, with its crown of weaving greenery. Next, my middle, with its 100 strong arms and hands. Last, my base, which bears the heaviest and knottiest of my limbs upon it. This is the strange request, said the king. Never before did I hear of one who desired 3 times to suffer the death stroke. Why not endure the agony but once, and have it over? It is like this, O king. Around me have grown up my family. Dozens of young sal trees have sprung from me and thrived in my generous shadow. Should you fell me with one might stroke, my weight would certainly crush all my children to death. But if 3 times if I suffer the stroke and fall in 3 pieces, some of the little ones may escape. Is my prayer granted? Indeed it is, said the king, whereupon the tree spirit faded away. The next morning the king called his minister and his foresters and told them that he had changed his mind. The column for the new palace should be built of stone, not wood. For, said he, within the sal tree dwells a spirit nobler than my own. And he told them of his vision, and they all marveled. The Chipko movement, a protest by villagers who embraced the tree to prevent it from being felled. A prominent leader who has contributed significantly to this movement is Sundarlal Bahuguna, a Gandhian.